Hello and welcome to a Breakthrough Assault video production. I'm Lee Parnell, recording from somewhere in the south of England, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new SU-17 box set from Battlefront. The SU-17 fitter is one of two new units introduced in the World War III Warsaw Pact book, along with the T-72B we covered in the previous video. The SU-17 was introduced to the Soviet Air Force in 1970 and replaced the earlier Su-7 Fitter A aircraft. The Su-17 fitter introduced a new swing wing mechanism to increase the short takeoff performance, as well as improve manoeuvrability and fuel efficiency in certain parts of the flight regime. The Su-17 was equipped with two 30mm autocannons mounted in the wing roots, and 9 hardpoints over the fuselage and inboard wing to carry a wide variety of air-to-ground, air-to-air ordnance, with the Fitter H introducing a pair of additional air-to-air pylons for the AA-2 ATOL missile. Anyway, that's enough of the introductions. Battlefront were kind enough to give me 2 boxes of this new aircraft, so let's take a look inside one of them now and see what we got waiting for us. Now I've got to apologise here, I'm still getting used to this unboxing malarkey, and I take quite a long time to empty this box out for some reason and load everything up. Now inside we get 2 aircraft, and they're contained in separate packets, each with 2 sprues. You can see here aircraft A and aircraft B. We get a little bag with the flight stands and the long stems, and a bag of soft plastic components. Inside this bag we get the simplified instructions, a unit card, and transfers. The unit card itself only covers the Soviet variant, but the transfers, as we can see here, cover all 4 nations in the Warsaw Pact book, and also has a really cool little intake chevrons you get, which I believe are like a warning marker. Looking at the sprues we get in the little plastic bags, I believe this is the Academy 144 scale Su-17 fitter. We can see here that their clear transparent components of the cockpit in the centre have been replaced by opaque components, and this is very similar to what we've seen previously on the Harrier kit that Battlefront released. And the first sprue on the left contains the largest part of the fuselage, as you can see here, with the vertical tail already fitted in place. Su-17 was a single engine aircraft, and it has that classic Cold War style nose intake that you see a lot on the Gen 2 aircraft like the Lightning and MiG-21, as well as the earlier fish beds. The sprue also has the only weapons included on the Academy kit, which is a pair of AA-2 ATOL missiles. I believe the kit was originally meant to do the Libyan aircraft that was shot down by F-14s over back in the early 80s. On the right hand sprue we can see a pair of drop tanks, which forms the only other sort of drop ordnance we have, as well as the hardpoints in the centre, including a pair of fuselage hardpoints and a variety of wing hardpoints. At the bottom of the right hand sprue we also have the wings and the actual elevators. We also have some undercarriage components we're not going to use because Battlefront have kindly provided us some soft plastic components to replace them. So in the front centre we have the replacement for the 3-piece nose undercarriage, well and 2 doors, with a single resin component. You can see it's been scored down the centre, represent where the doors meet in the centre. That does vastly simplify the actual assembly of that component, because it's quite fiddly having tried to do it using the hard plastic components. The main undercarriage doors on the actual wing root are replaced by the soft plastic component here, which also has the inboardmost pylon incorporated. Again, that saves fiddling around with a 2-part door, which again, having tried doing it, is not particularly great. I would say though that the soft plastic components do have a little bit to be desired in terms of the actual mould quality. You can see here a left hand door is a little bit misshapen, it's going to require a little bit of trimming to fit. The only air-to-ground ordnance we get are these components being provided by Battlefront, and these reflect the demolition rocket, the S-24 240mm unguided rocket. There's not an equivalent in NATO I can think of immediately off the top of my head. It's just basically a very simple, thin stabilised rocket with a great big warhead in. Now we get 4 of these per aircraft, which is on one hand very generous. It means we can fit it out both inboard pylons on soft plastic here, plus the fixed pylons that are part of the wing route where the moving component meets the actual fixed component. But it would be nice to have a set of the KH-25 Karen missiles, because they are actually an option. We can upgrade to include them. It's a bit of a pain we don't have them, frankly, to a certain degree. There's also no rocket pods either. Now, I got a bunch of rocket pods left over from the Frogfoots, so not too much an issue there. And if you have got both aircraft, you probably will have spare Karen missiles and rocket pods. But if you're coming at this with just this kit alone, then you won't have that as an option. Still, like I say, considering the hard plastic only comes with a pair of short-range air-to-air missiles, it's still very handy having these. Here you can see I fitted these onto the bottom of the aircraft. Now, I was lucky with the first two main undercarriage doors, and they fit in quite nicely. You can also see the fit on the front of the nose undercarriage. A little bit of a gap round it, but honestly, for a 1990s Academy kit, the plastic components probably much different. You can see here I fitted on the missile. I've also utilised for what should be the actual inboard pylons on the actual plastic kit. As they're now spare, because obviously there's now a component on the soft plastic component, I'm actually using those to model up the actual outriggers that were fitted on the fitter H onwards. Outboard of those, you can see the fixed wing route, which is actually already pre-modeled onto the component, and that again has a little indent for aligning extra ordnance on. In the original kit, these had the drop tanks, but as the drop tanks were also traditionally carried on the two fuselage positions, you can see I've built on here, they can also be used to carry the extra rockets as well, or the let's say unguided rockets or Karen missiles if you have them. The actual build of the kit was not too bad. Both halves of the fuselage went together cleanly. I almost forgot to put the rear turbine in, but thankfully remembered right at the last minute before the glue was set. The wings went on okay, although I did notice the right hand wing has a bit of a warping issue, at least on the first one I built. The soft plastic components I used went in relatively well, though I had to do a certain amount of trimming on the right hand assembly. The rockets themselves were nicely realised and went on fine, no issues there at all. There are some issues with the actual Academy base kit, especially on the cockpit canopy area. The two halves do not go together particularly well. There's gaps around it. I've seen this before in other people's build of the kit using the original Academy kit when they can find it. That's going to probably require some green stuff filling just to get it to look right. I'm still not convinced. There's something I'm missing about how the two bits go together. There are some fiddly bits on the build. The two air scoops either side of the APU intake, all three of those components were a pain. In fact, I've dropped one of the APU, one of their air scoops, and I have to try and find it at some point. The pitos were not actually as bad as they look. They're gone, but I do worry about how they're going to stand to test of time in terms of wargaming table. On the Frogfoot, I actually left them off because I was worried about how they would stand up. I might do that with the SU-17s. I opted not to use the little plastic component that goes on the bottom to locate on the flight stand. Instead, I put a magnet on the inside, which will then locate on. Yeah. All in all, it's a good build. It has its issues like all Academy kits in that era do. But in lieu of anything else, certainly in the UK market, it will do nicely. The actual SU-17, in terms of actual wargaming component, it does give a really nice option to the Warsaw Pact players. It's very much the AV-8A to the Frogfoot's A10 for the Soviet and Warsaw Pact players. Without upgrading it to carry the Karen missile, the rocket keeps the price down nicely, and certainly the Warsaw Pact players with their skill 4+ can get a lot of use out of that. Soviet players would probably have to upgrade to the Karen missile because that 5+ skill is not going to be great for ranging in with, which is a little harsh for them. And that really means the gap between it and the Frogfoot is not huge, and it might sort of sway most players to go with the Frogfoot itself, I suspect. I was surprised the cards inside did not have the Warsaw Pact cards on. It was just purely Soviet. But again, having seen with T-72B having the same thing, they're really obviously pushing it towards buying the card packs, which I guess isn't a bad thing. I can see why a Soviet one goes in that case. Obviously, it's not in a card pack. It's going to be purely this box. So yeah, I was generally happy with this as a kit. I might have to buy an extra box just so I can have a full Flight 6 at some point, which would be pretty cool. I'm going to be getting this painted hopefully sometime this month, and we'll be seeing some paint examples on the blog very soon. Anyway, that's it from me for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening. Hopefully the new mic is working. There's probably a little bit of background noise because I think I can hear the wife clearing up next door. But as always, leave your feedback in the comments below. Hopefully the volume is more to everyone's liking. I know that was an issue in the first video. And if you like what we're doing here, then obviously head on over to Patreon at patreonshoot_and_shoot. And obviously think about giving us £1 a month so we can fund new equipment like a new video, so I can do some better video of this going forward. As always, like and subscribe. But otherwise, this is Lee Parnell, and I will see you again soon. Catch you later.